Well, hello, Denver and Colorado Springs. So, this is our combined monthly market stats podcast that Jenny and I started to do together last month. So, this is the second combined one, but we decided to combine them just because, the stats are very similar and we have people looking at both markets. And so it's just easier to combine them. And also, we can feed off the stats and try to find any trends that may be happening between the two markets. But this month, Jenny, what is going on in the Springs market?
Well, broken record syndrome, same old, same old. But I know that we are talking prior to recording the show that I feel like all of the agents on our team are starting to feel a little bit of a sense of relief in the fact that maybe we're only competing against 15 other people instead of 20 other people on a property. So it's definitely kind of the pressure is getting released a little bit slowly but surely. So hopefully that's encouraging for buyers out there.
Yeah, and let's talk about that more because I'm gonna share my screen here. From a pure stats perspective, this is the Denver stats. May at the end of May 2021, we ended with 2,075 active listings at the end of the month, which I know is higher than Colorado Springs, but still very low for Denver. Last month we were at 2,600. So, we saw a decrease from April to May. Last May doesn't count because that's when things were still on pause from COVID. Back then we were at 7,000. So big shift there. And all the other stats, as Jenny said, it talks about the same or tells the same story. But what's interesting is exactly what you said, Jenny. It's the feeling out there. Like it's not being reflected in really any of the major stats yet. But pretty much everyone's commented is they feel like there's just less competition or less offers on the properties that they're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny because, we noticed that of, 3 weeks ago, I want to say, kind of towards the third or fourth week of May, that started becoming obvious up here. When did you start noticing it down there?
Definitely come May. April was really rough for the Colorado Springs team down here. It was rather demoralizing of a month, but I think we kind of picked back up really well come May.
And then I want to look at these the showing trends here because this is a stat I like a lot, and this is the only data that Jenny and I were able to look at that maybe goes along with the comment of less buyers out there, less competition. So this is the Denver market. You can see here in 2021, we've been in the 20 to 22 band of showings per listing. So every property that's listed on the market, there are 20 to 22 people going through that property. And in past years, that's been in like the low teens, like 10 to 14. So a big significant increase. January was 20, February was 22, March was 21, April was 21.5, May was 18. So pretty significant drop there. And jumping over to the Springs page, it looks like the Springs is seeing the same thing, Jenny. You guys were a little bit fewer showings per property in like the high teens, 18 to 20 range this year. But in April, you're at 18, and then you dropped to about 15 in May. Mm-hmm. This is the only data I've seen that lines up with the feeling we all have now.
Yep, I agree with that. And I know we were talking earlier, are there fewer buyers, or more homes, but we're not really seeing the more homes piece reflected in any of the data points. And I don't know I don't think there's a way to ever track how many people are, actively looking to buy. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going on, but it's certainly nicer for everyone who's, looking as a buyer out there for sure.
And maybe this is just, some seasonality stuff. We often see around Memorial Day, things drop off. So this might be the first sign of seasonality since COVID happened. There's been no seasonality since the pandemic started,
Yeah. Maybe people are, vaccinated and they're going on vacation now or something. I have no idea. Just need a break from house shopping, probably.
Well, I hear some horror stories. Like I actually was talking with a new client yesterday, the day before, and he's telling me how I think it was like, his neighbor's daughter, some connection like that, was buying her first home. He's like, I just don't want to spend forever, putting in offers, looking at properties. Like, I don't have all this time to do it. I said, well, why do you say that? He goes, oh, well, my neighbor's daughter, it took her 30 offers to get a property accepted in her contract.
Oh my God. Wow.
I've heard that before, but that's some of like the worst case spectrum. And someone was like, hey, I get that. I know there's people out there doing that. And it's usually, to me, it's two things. It's either a very unrealistic buyer or it's an inexperienced agent, or maybe a combination of both. But I said, we've never had anything like that anywhere close to that. I mean, do you recall, Jenny? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but between you and Leah down there, I mean, what's the most offers it's taken under contract this year? Do you have like a rough number or a range?
I think my record is 6, and I think Leo is close to the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, higher than we were at last year.
Mm-hmm.
But, on the higher side of putting in 6 offers, it's a lot more palatable than 30 offers. So I can imagine if people are out there, if they're in the teens of putting offers in, the double digits, they might be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go out Memorial Day and drink and eat hot dogs instead of, wasting more time on there. So it might just be a lot of buyer fatigue or buyer offer fatigue. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, I just putting myself in their shoes. I think I would be exhausted as well if I, seen 30 houses that I liked enough to put an offer on and didn't get any of them. That would be very, very frustrating. And I would probably want to take a pause as well, for sure.
And I was talking to some of our agents up here in the Denver market, and the highest is 7 so far. So, not the same as you guys down there. It was nothing drastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to share that with you because as I talk to a lot of people every week, as you do, Jenny, and a lot of people hear their stories like, oh my gosh, they're going for so high and so many offers in there. I mean, obviously we are striking out more, but our ratios are still better than a lot of other people I talk to out there. So don't be discouraged. And also this might be if this trend holds up, or at least this feeling that we are getting more offers accepted. And it's really not just a feeling. We've seen an uptick in offers last couple of weeks get accepted as well. If it continues, hey, it might be a good time to go out there and get active again. It's still competitive, but it's less competitive right now. And hopefully it stays like this, but who knows?
Yeah, just to kind of brag on Leah a little bit. She had a new client, and their very first offer, they got accepted. And the cherry on top is that it appraised for more than they're under contract for.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's a much different story than kind of how we were feeling about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, and I remember I felt like last month talking with you and Lee, I think you guys had a rougher time than we did in Denver. You had some black guys last month.
For sure.
That's part of the game, right? It's part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So as a recap for our listeners out there, I mean, if you guys have any questions about this, I mean, definitely reach out. Jenny and I, we love talking about this. We keep our finger on the pulse of the market stats, also what's going on since our team is in the trenches. And we can help you go out there and put together a good strategy so you still buy a property where it still makes sense in this market. Jenny's covered some creative ways on getting better cash flow, corporate rentals, room by room rentals for investors. We're recording some Airbnb short-term rental content up here in Denver this week and next week. So there's a lot of other options out there than just traditional rentals if you're looking to really maximize your cash flow in this market. But regardless of that, with interest rates being where they're at, they're still historically low. My guess is they'll stay here for a bit, tick up a little bit eventually. Inflation is looking like it'll tick up. I mean, when lumber goes up 300% from this month to this time last year, yeah, that might cause some inflation. It's going to cause issues. And there's all sorts of supply chains like that. So, from the grand scheme, Jenny, I still think that like buying properties, putting them on like, long-term cheap debt, while the numbers aren't quite as good as what we'd all like from like a macro investing perspective, it's kind of the best you can do out there. Go to Bitcoin, ride the roller coaster, invest in the stock market. And I still invest in the stock market every month, but they're hitting new highs, every other week it seems. And real estate, the prices, I don't see them slowing down. I think they'll stop growing as quickly, but prices will continue. So a big part of my strategy now is just, hey, buy good properties in good locations and put it on cheap long-term debt and ride the growth. And if inflation happens, ride the inflation wave as well.
I completely agree. I know for newer investors, it's probably frustrating seeing the prices going up, but it, I just like to kind of put things into perspective that there's never going to be a perfect scenario to buy. Like you're just never going to find that absolute dream scenario. So take what is present and just kind of think about it in terms of, like a long-term picture. Are you ever going to get rates for investment properties in the threes again? I don't know. Probably not. I would imagine that this is kind of, a sweet point in time for getting cheap debt. So while you're kind of wrestling with higher price points, you're also getting cheaper debt. So whereas a couple of years ago, I was buying things at a much lower price point, but my debt was a lot higher or in terms of interest rate. So just kind of, taking what's there, taking what's available, and just kind of looking at it from the whole picture instead of just looking right at that price point, getting nervous for that.
I agree with you, Jenny. So, investors, if you guys have questions out there, reach out. Reach out to Jenny for the Springs, reach out to me for Denver, reach out to both of us if you're not sure. We're happy to talk about this stuff. And we will be realistic. We love sitting down with people and saying, hey, what are your goals? What are your plans? What's your cash on hand? What type of returns do you want? Great. That's what you want. Now, here's what the market has. Where's the overlap? And usually we find an overlap. And part of that, too, is adjusting expectations or looking at some different variations or models in our respective markets. And something like, you know what, like if you want this, like you can't find this. You're going to have to invest elsewhere or change your expectations. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for that guidance and help, that's a big passion of both Jenny's and mine. So please reach out. We're more than happy to do it. Of course, you can go to envisionrea.com, click on the investment consultation. It'll come through to me and Jenny. So Jenny, that's all I have. Any closing thoughts?
Now it's my turn to put you on the spot. Yeah, what is your investing plan for the latter half of this year?
Ooh, the latter half of this year?
Mm-hmm.
So I just went under contract a couple days ago on a property, great home with an ADU, and it's more about getting long-term cheap debt. I went 15% down. It cash flows a little bit, nothing great, but 15% down at 4 1/8 or 4 1/4. It's a little higher interest rate since it was a lower down payment. But that's still what I want to do. I want to maximize that cash out of my bank account, or minimize, I should say, that cash out of my bank account so I can maximize my return. Because that difference between a 15% and 25% down payment was like $40,000. And either keep that $40,000 in the bank or use it to, that's a good chunk, another down payment on their property as well. Yeah. So my strategy is keep buying properties where the numbers make sense. And also just getting on long-term debt to take advantage of it while we have it.
Awesome. And I assume location is probably a higher focus of yours than it was in years past, maybe? Is that kind of what I'm picking up from that?
Not really, actually.
Okay.
Still pretty, there's a few locations around Denver that I want to invest in, but overall, that hasn't really changed much more. Just, hey, where's a good deal pop up? And of course, since, we've seen cap rates compress and, hey, if I can buy in an area where it's, a lower tenant quality or lower tenant class in terms of like, rents and all that, where you have higher vacancy, those have compressed quite a bit. And going in nicer areas is not that much more expensive or much better cap rate. So maybe indirectly, my shift has focused some, and that's more just because the market has, we've seen cap rates compress everywhere. But overall, no, as long as it's a good deal and just a few parts of town that I don't want to invest in, I'll still invest in them.
That's awesome.
Great. Well, Jenny, thank you so much. And everyone out there, have a great month. We'll see you next month. Bye, everyone.